This is my first voice recording video tutorial on data science. I hope you would enjoy this. So in this tutorial we will try and learn different methods of data science. What I mean by that is applying different machine learning algorithms. So these data sets I've extracted from this website called Archive Machine Learning Database and Housing folder. Within that you have a housing.data. So the data looks like this. There's no if you were to scroll up, there's no data column at all. But then what you do is you would add column by adding this column in that data set here. So now if you were to look at column, you'll see all those columns added. So this is part of data cleaning before you even try further deep down into machine learning. This is the very first thing you need to look at, is the clean data. It's very important in any data science project. Quick summary gives us mean, minimum, first quartile, median, mean, third quartile, and the maximum of that variables, different columns, so to speak. Next is plotting the data itself against each variable. So let's see how that works. As you can see, it's quite not tidy, just because of my screen is quite small. So, but you can see it's plotting each variables against other all variables. For example, you can see there's some positive correlation between age and NOx. But frankly speaking, it's not that great in terms of analyzing data. If you have a fewer variables, it's easy to predict, easy to see, and easy to spot the correlation between different variables. Now in this data set we got more than 10 to 12 variables. So it's very hard to recognize any pattern within variables. So if you have a similar problem, what you do is you would try and do correlation using numbers. So rather than graphs, it would give you percentage correlation between each variables against each variables. So what I mean by that is let's look at one of the examples. So first thing is you will need this package called plot, so correlation plot. Then add that library in. Then if you were to use that, you'll see this is slightly better than the other graph. You can now clearly see there's some correlation between tax and RAD. For example, there's some correlation between tax and Indus. It suggests if the percentage is closer to 1, better it is, and it shows that there is stronger correlation between these two variables. So for example, tax and RAD has stronger relationship. So in terms of when you are trying to use different variables, you would go and use that variable to predict your numbers or predict your machine learning data set or machine learning outcome, to speak. So after cleaning your data and having looked into your data, seen the correlation between different variables, now you are ready to move into machine learning algorithms. So the first thing you would do is you split your data into two parts. So the first part would be about 75% training data set, and the other 25% would be the test data set. So you would apply all the machine learning on your training data set, And when your training data set is ready, you would apply that into your test result just to test that, just to prove that your model is working fine, working okay. So let's see how we can do that, how we can split data set. So to split data set 75%, 75% and 25%, there's a package called Caret. You can do that using that package. So I'm just calling that package here, and I'm saying start with a random number rather than picking sequentially. Just use random numbers, so that gives you kind of overview, or not to pick, not to be biased within your data set. And I'm training. So now what I'm saying by percentage is 0.75. That is the training data set, and the other one would be 25% would be the test data set. So here I'm collecting that, saying I'm calling that as a training data set to be 75%, and I'm saying the rest of the data from housing minus the indices, which is this data set, saying the other data set would be 25%. So if we were to look at the and if you were to check the number of rows in each, you would say 125 in a test data, and the training you'd see more than the training data set, the test data set. Now if you were to look at housing training, you'll see all the columns here with their data type and how many number of observations within that data set. So we've got 14 different columns, 14 variables within the